Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Married with a Business. My name's Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're Married with a Business. We're here to share tips, tricks, stories of what it's like to be a married couple that own and operate a business together. Allison, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a little bit of a rough morning, but we're getting there.
It's been a while is what it's been. It's been a little bit since we've put a show up.
It has been, but we are trying to get reorganized and back on track.
Yeah, it's been we talk a lot about like stations of life or,
yes.
Seasons of life. And it's been one of those seasons where things have been kind of crazy and busy and out of control. And sometimes when life is like that, you just kind of have to let one thing drop off. And unfortunately, over the past 6 months, the podcast has been one of those things we've let drop off.
But we're trying to be more intentional about talking to you guys more.
Yes. So we're back. We're here to talk. We're here to share what's been going on with us, what's been going on with our business and our life and our family. And one of the things we're going to talk about, which kind of plays into the role of why we haven't been here, is change. Today, we're going to talk about dealing with change when there's a lot of change. And how we kind of deal with it and some other ways people deal with it.
Yeah, so one of the things I have done since we've been away is I've done a couple of little talks with our team and some other teams about change and how do we navigate through it. And I love the book Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. It's a motivational business fable that tells a simple story about these 4 characters, 2 mice named Sniff and Scurry, and 2 little people named Hem and Haw, who live in this maze and who search out cheese, which kind of represents whatever daily life is, right? Happiness, success, work, organization. And the story talks about, in the beginning, all 4 of the characters are happy and they have large stashes of cheese at Cheese Station C, they call it. And then the mice, Sniff and Scurry, are instinctive and they're always kind of looking around and trying to be vigilant and noticing when the cheese supply seems a little low today. And then Hem and Haw, on the other hand, are shocked and frustrated when the cheese ends up being low. And the book is about how the different personality types adjust to change, right? Sniff and Scurry are out looking for new things. Hem and Haw take a little while to get to finding new things, and eventually how they find a new abundant cheese supply and thrive for most of them, but Hem never really gets there.
So let's kind of go back and talk about why is this important? Not just as business owners, but sort of as adults raising children and everything. I will say for me, change is not something I ever really look forward to.
Change isn't easy. I think a lot of people, not everybody, instinctively like to know what's going to happen and be on a regular path. But it's important because change is always happening, right? If you're a parent, your kids are getting bigger. Every school year there is change. Every sports season there is change. In your business, very few of us make widgets and make the same thing always and have the same customers always. So we're always experiencing change because the market is changing, our clients are changing, technology is changing. So it's important to come up with ways to monitor it and ways to adjust and to learn how you like to do those things so that you can adjust as necessary. So you don't become shocked when something catastrophic happens.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes in some of the it's easy to fall into the comfort zone, right? It's easy to be comfortable, and sometimes being able to adapt to a new situation or adapt to change. And we talk about it with our kids, right? So our youngest is going to a new school next year. He goes to a senior high school, 7 through 9. So he goes into 7th grade, and that's going to be a big change for him. You're going from an elementary school, a smaller school. The teachers are, more caring and loving to now, not that they're not loving in a high school setting, but now they're going to a school where his expectations are going to be higher. And I think for somebody like a kid, adapting to those changes is sometimes easier. They tend to do it a little quicker and better than us adults do.
And I think for me, I would have thought that last year when our older son moved up to the junior senior high, that would have been the big change. And it was a lot of big change. But I think I'm having bigger feelings this time around because now we're no longer connected to the elementary school.
Right.
And in addition to that, our niece is going off to college. So we've graduated from elementary school. We've had graduations from high school. And we have all of these new things that are just about to happen personally. And how is our new normal going to look?
Yeah. And I mean, change can be small or change can be really big. And being able to, minimize the disruption and the upset of you to achieve the desired outcome, the goals that you want is really important. So anyways, we back 6 months ago or so did the Who Moved My Cheese exercise. You did a little exercise with our team in our company to kind of go over how can they better navigate change.
Yeah, and we went through the different personality types. There are those people who are very good at observing and anticipating change. They're attentive to what's happening around them and they're noticing as change occurs, so that they can act quickly and take small steps as we go along to be vigilant and find new ways to be successful. And then there are some of us that are resistant to change. We believe we deserve what we have right now when we get tunnel folk vision and we just want to work on what we see right in front of us and aren't paying attention to the things that are happening around us. Those kind of people sometimes get stuck in the past and deny the reality of what's moving forward looks like.
And so in the parable with sniff, I always have trouble, sniff and scurry, hem and haw, talk a little bit about how the idea of being able to quickly adapt can help you with dealing with change.
I think that being able to adapt helps us with change because it comes at us fast. Things come up and sometimes we don't know how to pivot. And one of the things we've been working on in our company is what are some of those what if scenarios? If something happens, what will our initial pivots going to be? We've all been through COVID at this point. None of us could have anticipated that. But that being said, some of us could have. There have been tales of these apocalyptical things coming for years, but we don't think about them because they're not really going to happen. So one of the other things that we've been working on in our team is we've been slowly kind of working on these emergency plans. If one of our key leaders or one of our team members is out for a short-term period of time, what are the things and steps we need to take? And if they're going to be out for a long period of time, what are the things we need to take?
And we just kind of experienced this in our company. We had our bookkeeper who recently had to go to the hospital for an emergency situation.
Yeah.
And was out for, a week almost?
She was out for a week, totally unexpected. And that was one of the catalysts for really speeding up this document. We did a fairly good job. I am still very well versed in what those systems and processes are, but we've been sitting down and talking about where were the holes? What if for some reason I'm on vacation or I'm out of the office? Where do we need to cross-train? Where do we need to create new systems? So God forbid, it's not about being ready to replace somebody. It's about God forbid there's an emergency.
So going back to the parable, sniff and scurry are they're very quick to adapt to change. They kind of remain vigilant and positive, and the idea is that because they're mice that they have to find the food, right? That's Who Moved My Cheese. And so we talk about with our team being able to see what's on the horizon if you can, and be able to think about adapting to it.
And it's hard because we're so busy. Everybody is busy, and to take the time to think about change and look at the big picture of what could possibly be coming down the pipeline takes time and it takes energy. And sometimes we feel like, especially as business owners, we don't have time during the day. I'm getting up really early in the morning, dealing with kids, dealing with business, to get them to and from school, to get work done, to take them to sports, to get dinner done, to go to bed. And it's like, when am I supposed to find that white space to think?
Right. And then you get to hem and haw. So hem and haw, I would say, and like if everybody's being honest with themselves, they're either a hem or they're a haw, right? Like they're either like, hem is paralyzed by fear. He's has this like sense of entitlement and things are always going to be great. The cheese will always be there. It will never move. And
we want to aspire to sniff and scurry, though.
Right. But I mean, like just understanding and like, you and I talk about this all the time. Like, I'll admit, like, I would love to just, go into work every day, do my 3 things, go home. Like people want to live that repetitive, easy life.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where Hem kind of comes into being. Like, he's stuck in the fact that the cheese has always been there. It's always been great cheese. It's never going to go away. And we talk about this all the time, especially in our industry, in the building and remodeling industry. Like, people get so complacent when the economy is good, and they're like, "Oh, well, the economy's always going to be good. People are always going to spend money," and that's not always the case.
Right. And as the business owner, we need to be the sniff and the scurry and push our team members to move forward. One of the things we talked about when we did our team meeting was, I love our trade partners, but there are some of them we need to have secondary trade partners. God forbid, what happens if our plumber, who is a 1- and 2-man show, something happens to him and he's got all this work lined up and we don't have anybody to backfill. It's not about the fact that we don't love this guy and his company, but we can anticipate that change. We know there is a possibility that something might happen. And what are we doing to proactively be ready in case it does?
And this is the one thing about like the hem and the haw side of things that I like. And especially since, we do this podcast because we're a couple that own a business together and we work together, and we've worked together in the business for 20 years, nearly 25 years. And so, I look at us sometimes as like hem and haw, in the sense of like, one of us sometimes becomes a hem and the other one of us is a haw and starts to say, hey, we need to change. We need to find the new cheese. Look at what, and I think that's helped us as partners and as business owners. Like, sometimes we're kind of like that yin and yang in that way, where like haw in the parable, initially he's like, oh yeah, this is great. The cheese is always going to be here. And then haw starts to realize, well, the cheese is disappearing, and look at the mice. They're finding the new cheese. We need to go find the new cheese.
Well, and sometimes I feel like I'm sniff and scurry, and it's like trying to get all the hems and the haws coming along with me, like, you don't understand, this is going to happen, we need to be ready.
Well, and I think we as business owners, and I think I would imagine most business owners may feel that way. They may feel like with their team and their employees that they're always trying to drag them along.
And I think my challenge is how do I get everybody to understand my point of view, where sometimes they don't see it and they just think that I'm intense and I just want to keep moving forward for the sake of moving forward. But I just have this real sense that like that cheese station C, it's getting low, or something's going to change, and how do we fix it before it becomes detrimental?
So when you talk about this, and this is you've gone through the Who Moved My Cheese with our team and a couple of other groups of people that you've done like sort of a presentation about this. Talk about like being able to adapt and change and embrace flexibility and overcome fear. Like, talk a little bit about how you talk to people about helping them through that.
Yeah, so in terms of anticipating change, we talk about what are you doing and what could we be doing to start monitoring change better. In our wisdom board groups, we talk about what is everybody doing to monitor their lead flow? Are they lead tracking? For small businesses, getting that system together is hard, and we've been doing it for so long, it's natural to me, but for some people it's not. What are the things that we should be aware of in our industries, our client preferences? Are they changing? I feel like in our business in the last year, we've seen our clients' preferences change as our business model has changed, and we've had to adapt to that. And we've done an okay job of it, but could we have adapted faster? And we didn't know what we didn't know until we kind of started going through it. It's a constant in our world, and we have to be aware of that thinking proactively in our planning and making adjustments will help it be a little bit smoother as we go along. We got to roll with those punches, right? And sometimes we can't change what's happened in the past, but we can learn from it so that we can make better decisions in the future.
Yeah, and you have to know that change is coming. Like it's at some point there is going to be change. It doesn't matter what you do. You make a widget, you make whatever. Like it's gonna change.
Yeah, we as people are constantly getting older. We are constantly, people in our teams are changing. We are changing personally and professionally. Our team is changing personally and professionally, and our clients. So it's reality.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to like seek out that new cheese. You have to look for those opportunities. You have to see what change may be delivering to you.
Yeah, and we have to embrace being flexible. So we talk about, are we being flexible? How can we improve our flexibility? The mice who thrived were those who were willing to adjust their routines and explore. As a team, we need to be open in our project planning and our systems and really talk about, is it still working? How can we tweak it? Eventually, we're going to hit roadblocks and stumble. And I think that's sometimes why people don't want to change, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it might be broken and we don't even realize it right now.
Right. And then I guess the place that sometimes the hardest place is like overcoming the fear of change, the challenges and the things that you may have to deal with and do when going through change.
Yeah, the question we posed to the team was, how can we support each other embracing challenges and opportunities, and how is the fear of the unknown hindering our progress?
So you go through all of that when you're kind of dealing with this, when you're looking for the new cheese, when you're going through we're going through changes, what are some ways that you can help each other as a team get through that?
One of the things we talked about was what causes the fear. So kind of everybody shared, what are they afraid of and what's founding that fear? And that comes into your team really being functional and feeling trust amongst each other to be open and honest. Like things that I've started to think about of why I react the way I react aren't business related. They're ingrained personal things. Mel Robbins uses the term trauma, whether it's trauma or it's just experience. Like the way we react to things at work go back to our childhood. And if you have a team that's trusting, you can have those conversations, and then you can react and interact with each other differently. It's the same reason we do the DISC personality profiles, right? If I know about your core makeup, the way I approach you is different. If I know why you react to things when change happens, we can approach change differently.
Yeah, and like effectively being able to communicate and share and collaborate, like those are the ways that you're going to be successful in change. And if you try to hold everything in, or if you try to do everything by yourself, then that's where success may fail you.
Yeah, and then the next thing we kind of talk about is, what opportunities do we need to be considering when we're talking as a team in the team area for our business? What are the things, where do we want to be as a team, and what things do we need to look at to get there? And what do we need to change? Are there opportunities that we should dig into? For us, when we had this discussion a year ago, it was bringing on an interior designer, and bringing that role into our team has changed our whole business model from sales right through the end. So that's a big, scary change. And like I said before, there are stumbling blocks, and we've had to learn to adapt and be flexible. And it's not overnight, right? We're getting better every time we're going through it. But the same thing at home, what opportunities do we need to consider? Are we saying yes to the right things to keep us moving forward and making sure that when change happens, we're prepared?
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest thing. I mean, and again, we talked about it at the top of the show. One of the reasons we took a break for a couple of months from doing the podcast was like both personally and professionally, there was a lot of change happening in our lives. Between like we had torn down and rebuilt the whole sales system in our company, and we're trying to be, successful at that. Our children going and moving from school to school and trying to be successful at that. And so, you get through all of that and you work together as a team. It's fun at the end to just take a moment and sort of celebrate that success, that, we did a good job of reworking our sales system. Hopefully we're doing a good job of raising our children, celebrate those successes together.
Yeah, and one of the things that we struggle with is acknowledging and rewarding those team efforts and achievements, especially when we have successfully navigated change. Because I think we're always looking at what didn't work as opposed to what is working. So that's something we, as business owners and as parents, need to get better at. And I think our team, and that's probably because we've set the tone, our team isn't great about it either. So maybe it's time for a potluck with Chinese food.
Maybe that's what we like to do. We like to do Chinese food for our team when they have good success. So that would be a good. Allison, you're going to be talking more about navigating change this fall.
I am. I'm really excited I was invited back to the Women in Residential and Commercial Construction Conference put together by Pro Builder and Pro Remodeler magazine. So I will be heading to Austin, Texas in the fall, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to have 300 plus women in construction at this conference. So it's a really wonderful time. There's people in residential, there's people in home building, there's people in commercial and designers. It's a great uplifting experience. We've talked about this in the past. Conferences with mostly women at them are just like at this different fun vibe, and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna workshop and ask each other these questions and really try and provoke some great conversation for everybody to take back to their team.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. It'll be a great conference. Go to probuilder.com to find out more information about the conference, and not only will Allison be speaking there, but some other great speakers will be there. So check it out at probuilder.com. Allison, what have you been listening to? Now, I will say, Who Moved My Cheese is one of the, we've obviously re-listened to it. You can listen to Who Moved My Cheese on audible.com. So you can go there, but you've also got other things you've been listening to.
Yeah, so I recently finished listening on Audible to How to Lead When You're Not in Charge by Clay Scroggins, which I'm in charge, right? So, but I wanted to listen to like how we can motivate our team members too. So this book explores the idea that leadership isn't solely about holding a formal position of authority. Leadership is about influence. It focuses on 4 key behaviors in terms of leading yourself, choosing positivity, thinking critically, and rejecting passivity. The book provides a practical guidance for individuals who want to make a difference within their organizations, even if they don't have formal authority to do it. And it really emphasizes the importance of personal development, being positive, being proactive, as engagement as key components of effective leadership.
Yeah, so you can check that out, or you can also check out Who Moved My Cheese on audible.com, and we'll give you a free 30 days of Audible. All you have to do is visit audibletrial.com/bizmarried, that's B-I-Z married, and you get a free 30 days of Audible, and like we listen to a ton of Audible.
Yeah, and a lot of the things we talk about here, obviously we like to share our Audible experiences and try to find books that are relating to the topics that we're talking about, because it just helps us give that foundation to talk to you guys more clearly about it. Navigating change and doing it through Who Moved My Cheese is a great way to be able to go back and find lessons that will help you.
And we have committed to be back and cranking out episodes again. Our goal is to keep you busy listening to episodes from now until the end of the year. So, please listen, like, subscribe. You can find us online, marriedwithabusiness.net. It's a website. It is a website that has a ton of information about us. You can find the show there. You can sign up to be a guest. We have some free resources you can get there. You can learn more about Allison and I and how we could come and help your business out. So check that out, marriedwithabusiness.net. You can also find us on social media. We're on Instagram at BizMarried. That's B-I-Z Married. And you can search for us on Facebook at Married with a Business. We're excited to be back, Allison.
Yeah. I love talking to you.
We love sharing our stories and all of our craziness. But we appreciate everybody for listening this week. Remember, you can find us online. Listen, like, subscribe, and share. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.